Hi, I'm going to talk to you about the worst movie that I've ever watched in 2022 because this truly was the worst movie I've ever watched. By the title, you know that it is the latest Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Spoilers, obviously, because I'm going to talk about everything that this movie did to break my heart and my soul. Starting off, none of these characters had any personality, any trait. They were just one-dimensional and they were horrible. I don't even know any of their names. The only character that the only actress or character that I was like, was the blonde one. She did a good job showing the fear of knowing that she was she played it smart. I was like, oh, good. They're not gonna give us stupid characters. But not even that could save this, to be honest. It had so much potential. But sorry, getting ahead of myself. Let's talk about wasted potential and having characters that mean nothing. None of these characters were people. They were unrelatable, they were mean, they were a-holes, and they were just, they were nothing. They were nothing characters. They were nothing characters. They were like, yes, this one's the annoying one who used to live here. Like, her grandma lived here, but, like, that brought nothing to the story. And then we have this girl who was a mass shooting survivor, but that also doesn't bring anything to the story. Her trauma is kind of, like, not even sprinkled in. It's not even mentioned. She just kind of, like, is like, I am sad. Look at me being sad. And then you have the other dude. He has no character at all. He's just a chef. And he's, I guess, ambitious. They're not characters at all. There was more character development for the mechanic and for Sally. And mechanic and Sally should have been the ones to survive. Later, more on that later. So, again, unrelatable, bad, not nice, just thinks that they're above all. So, of course, we have them interactions. It's like this movie wanted to make give some semblance of a plot and criticism, but it just didn't. They had a potential of I'm sorry, drink every time I say potential because you're drinking alcohol poisoning. The topic of gentrification, it could have been done so well, but it was not. And it just came off of that other movie, the Wrong Turn movie, that's not even called Wrong Turn. It's not even really a wrong turn movie because they're not even deformed, mutated people who live in the hills. They just are called. I'm not talking about the movie. Anyways, going back, I lost my train of thought. I was talking about mountains. Oh yeah, that they. I don't even. I didn't watch the movie completely. I didn't even watch the movie, so I can't tell you if they did get a character role. But this one was horrible. Horrible. So we get to this town that has absolutely zero inhabitants, which I think was a mistake on the movie's part. I feel like it would have been way more better if they had some stragglers, some townspeople to actually have tension, so they could be like, oh, maybe someone's gonna hurt us from the townspeople, or kind of just build it up. But no, it was just an empty movie set with absolutely no one. And they're like, oh my god, look, I can do my art museum here. And I'm like, okay, here's my problem, another small insignificant problem. They're all supposed to be very smart, right? I mean, I guess that he's a chef. Both of them are chefs. The other one is an art curator or whatever. But even the young one, then the young sister, she's like, we're 6 hours away from, I don't know where they're from, Austin. Who's gonna come here? Who's gonna how are they gonna make money? I mean, I get that they bought it for cheap because, again, they're probably selling it for nothing, but how are they gonna bring tourists? And the thing is, this place should be booming. You're telling me this is set now. You're telling me that a town plagued by a serial killer, a mass serial killer, people would not eat that up and go paranormal hunting. They should have done that angle. They should have been I guess it could have been too similar to Halloween, where they have those podcast people interviewing the serial killer, but you know what I mean. Anyways, that is unrelated. Going back, sorry, my train of thought is not a train. It's multiple lanes intercolliding and going one over the other, and it doesn't always make sense. So they get to this new town. And they're all like, ah, and then they see a Confederate flag and they're like, ugh, and they have investors coming. So they go into this house. I don't know why this house is open, but they go in, and here's the thing. I get that they assume that it's like abandoned because, you know, they think that they bought the whole block or whatever. But, you know, they just walk around, and then obviously there's an old woman living there, and she's like, what are you doing in my house? And then she's like, wait, are you my new neighbors? And here is where you see how shitty of people they are. They're like, you need to leave this house. This is our house now. And she's just like, what? I fixed it with the bank. I paid my debt. Like, this is my house. Ding. And they're just, and then the dude, I get why the man was angry because she, you know, called him a racial thing. So he goes and gets the deputies. And here's my problem. The deputy and the sheriff, you would think that they would be on team townspeople, so you would think that they'd be a little bit like of tension. No, they just immediately grab that old lady, the old lady who is on a oxygen, not a breathalyzer, oxygen, and carry her to like take her away like she's a common criminal. And then the annoying one feels guilty. She's like, oh, maybe that wasn't the right thing to do. Maybe we shouldn't have kicked out that old lady. And then this giant man who, here's the thing, you're telling me that Leatherface has been missing for 40 years, and Sally has been looking for him for 40 years, and she doesn't know what he looks like, but you're telling me a man that tall, that buff, who does not talk, you wouldn't be a little bit suspicious that he might be, you know, a little bit suspicious, like, huh, like, you know, that family who killed a bunch of people, someone went missing out of all the people, you know, and we can't find him, and oh look, this, you know, really tall, lanky, massive dude just appeared at the orphanage. What a coincidence. No one thought to like research a little bit. No, not even a little bit. Okay, so he goes with her, and we don't even have an ambulance. I don't know if that's realistic. I don't know when towns are being abandoned, do the hospitals just also not exist? I do not know. I get you could say that, you know, the old lady was gonna die eventually, but I guess, you know, all this probably gave her a heart attack, and so I guess you could say they killed her. I mean, semantics. So he goes, and then I don't understand how Leatherface ended up with her, and then he's like, ah yes, I love this woman. This woman's my mom now, so I'm not gonna kill anyone because she's my mom. And I guess she knew that it wasn't explained at all. Would have been cool for us to be giving some of like the backstory, but it wasn't. And then she dies, and he goes crazy, and because obviously, you know, they don't have any medical equipment because there's gosh. And then he kills the deputy, and he kills the sheriff. And I'm not gonna lie, the part where he's like skinning her face off, because that's what you do to your mom. And the blonde one does an amazing job of being like, dude, she did good. I was like, you know what? Decent. But then, oh God, which begs to differ when she is using she's like, someone help, he's here. And the dude at the gas station, does that mean that he was listening and he just didn't care until she said he's wearing her face, and then he was like, hold up. Okay, now I'm gonna call Sally. Like, did he just was like, yeah, pranksters, or like, ah, I don't care because it's like them. Moving on. This movie was just so bad. You got mechanic guy who finds, because here's the stupidest thing. People make stupid decisions, even though did I say this? I don't remember. But I was like, when she was smart, the blonde one was smart, I was like, oh, they're not going to give us stupid characters. They're going to give us characters who actually use their noggins and actually think. And she plays dead, and she's quiet. She doesn't scream. She just is like, you know, but I guess he kind of knew, or he was probably just going to, you know, like kill her to make sure. Either way, I feel like. But then when the annoying sister goes to find the less annoying but sister, and she's in this older man's apartment, and she whispers, the lady is dead. Why wouldn't you just tell her, like, hey, I just, something came up, like, we need to leave. And then in the car, be like, yeah, the lady died, but we are leaving before why would you whisper it in a room where there's no doors, there's no walls? And this dude clearly doesn't like you, so why? So obviously he finds out, he gets pissed, and he's like, you guys killed her, I'm not giving you the car keys. Then they go and look if they actually have the deed. Oh my god, they didn't have the deed. And they feel, well, the annoying one feels sad. I really don't know if the other, well, he didn't really know because he got killed, kind of. He walks out and the dude is like, what's going on, why are you ignoring me? And then he's just, his face is all like that. And then he's like, oh my god. He tells her, go into the bus. And then this man had potential. The mechanic had personality. He was interesting. Why did I just go from 1 to 3? I don't know, don't ask me. But then when he gets there and he sees her foot just hanging out, and he's like, what? And then he sees Leatherface standing behind a door. This movie was truly, truly bad. And the scene where she just gets out of the annoying one, finally gets out of the bed. I guess he knows that she's there, probably. He probably already heard her. And then when she peeks out and we see a shot where he apparently goes in, like he was looking at, and she doesn't see that. She doesn't see a huge head just floating. Like she doesn't see it. She doesn't see it. And then she, everything is, making noises because obviously, and then she jumps because that's a smart thing to do, jump onto the staircase, and then he just appears. And then the chase scene, which is not even scary because there's no tension, so it's just like, plus she's annoying, so it was like, I don't really care if she dies, but then I'm like, oh my god, she's the annoying one, they're not gonna kill her off until the end. And then Sally had so much potential. Sally had so much. When they showed her, I was like, oh, they're showing us her muscle. They're showing us, like, I'm ready for Sally. I'm ready. I was excited. I was like, this is gonna be my favorite character. And she was for a few moments. When she gets there, right? And she has been, wanting to kill him for 40 years, training for this. This is the moment. And she does the stupidest thing that everyone does, is starts talking. You're telling me you couldn't have shot first, and then when he's like, breathing and dying, you could have been like, do you remember who I am? And I guess it's supposed to be impactful that he doesn't remember who she is because she was insignificant, because he has killed so many people that she's like nothing, and she has this realization of like, but because this movie has not centered around Sally at all, she's just only been shown, and it's like I said, it's like a bare bone movie. There's no meat, there's no skin, there's no organs, it's just skeleton. So this revelation, I can't speak, this revelation that is supposed to like get you in your feels just doesn't because and she's like, she says their names, and then again, the perfect opportunity, he was unarmed sitting on his bed and she doesn't shoot him, and I'm like, you're telling me that you are setting this woman up for being like hunting him down, being so badass and still having trauma. And then when she gets downstairs, obviously, she misses. And then she tells them to leave. And the moment where he just chainsaws into her chest, I was like, oh god. This movie truly is horrible. This truly is bad. Again, they should have kept the mechanic and Sally alive and killed everyone else. Literally. And they should have prolonged it. There was just so much, again, take a shot every time I say potential, but there was potential. It's like they had character development, character personalities, plot, and they just scraped a centimeter of each of this and threw it, and they were like, a great movie. And it was not a great movie. It was not. The scene, the bus scene, oh god, that was the stupidest thing. You're telling me this bus driver sees that she gets up, like the other lady, the other investor, the lawyer, I think, I don't remember what she was, gets into to the bus. She's clearly upset. She's clearly crying, and he's just like, eh. And then you see two women, one of them full of, and the other one looking, screaming, saying, drive the bus. And your reaction is to calmly close the door, calmly drive. And then you hear a chainsaw, and then something happens to the bus, and your reaction isn't to just floor it. Your reaction is to calmly open the door. And then again, the scene where he just goes in and everyone takes their phone out and they're like, you're gonna get canceled. I was like, oh, this was approved. This was approved, developed, financed, filmed, edited, and then distributed, and I'm watching this. And then Sally, with a chainsaw wound into her heart, she is somehow alive and somehow saves Annoying Girl 2, because Annoying Girl 2 should be dead. I don't know why he hesitated, and she also looks at him like a deer in headlights, and I'm like, you have a 6-foot man chainsawing, and you're just like, emotion. And so she's like, you can't run because he will chase you. Also, super stupid when Annoying Girl 1 sees that he's swinging his chainsaw. Instead of just ignoring that, she every decision made by everyone is so stupid. Finally, we're at the end. And they decide, Annoying Girl 2 decides, I'm gonna kill Leatherface. I'm just gonna kill him. We're gonna do it. And the scene where she's going to save her sister, and her sister apologizes to Leatherface and says, I'm sorry I killed your mom, felt so like, he's wearing her face. He literally grabbed her mate. Like, what are you trying to do? He's not human. He's not. And then this annoying sister too, goes, hey, Leatherface. And then she doesn't even have the trick, like, that she has a safety on. It was like, okay. And then she goes to the movie theater, which has a giant pool in it for some reason. I don't know why. And for some reason, Leatherface just can't seem to kill her. Just can't. And then she gets a flashback or something. I don't know. And she's just laying there. And then her sister comes and jumps on Leatherface. We don't know how, because Leatherface is like 7 feet tall. But somehow she can jump all the way up to his neck and grab him, even though he's not near any tall places or like a shelf. And Annoying Sister number 2 just kind of stares, doesn't really do anything, until he almost kills Annoying Sister number 1. And then she shoots him twice, and then there's no more bullets, and she's like, oh. And then so Annoying Sister grabs the chainsaw and just chains him, like, doesn't really actually like go inside with the chainsaw. No. Now, again, these characters, who should not be alive, but I guess they're like the final girls, have witnessed a day and a night of horror. Their friends have been murdered. Random people have been murdered in front of them in gruesome ways, and they decide, after they think they killed the unkillable, is let's just walk out leisurely. Let's just take our time. Like, the sun is out now. That's how long it took us to get to the car, even though the car was like literally a block away. Let's just walk, and and if you look, the scene where Annoying Sister number 2 grabs Sally's hat and puts it on and looks at the picture of her friends, Sally's body should be behind her in that shot in a bunch of trash bags. There are no trash bags, and there's no Sally. Did no one notice that in like editing or anything? No. Anyways, so they leisurely walk to the car. They leisurely sit down. They open the sunroof. She even makes her a joke and says, I'll move with you now to here. And she's like, haha. She puts on autopilot, and then, oh, Leatherface is alive. That is so surprising. Did not see that coming. And then he takes annoying sister number 1, annoying sister number 2 goes out of the sunroof trying to, I guess, replicate or, pay homage to the first one. But it was the most cringy, horrible thing. And I was like, this is really, wow. Wow. And as the car is going, because it's on autopilot, annoying sister number 1 gets... And then again, to pay homage, he's running around with a chainsaw. Because we love this, we love a movie that just does callbacks. And then there's an end credit scene. I know, we love those. Marvel who? And it shows Leatherface going home. And we don't know if that's like they were like, yes, he's just now home, or is this a sequel? This movie was truly horrible. The worst movie that I've ever watched. No character development, no character personalities. They were all one-dimensional. The plot that was there was non-existent. The characters, non-existent. The stakes, non-existent. Everything was just truly, truly horrible and terrible. And, I don't know what they were thinking. I think they should have just gotten, this movie should have just been a different killer. Any random one. Honestly, because tying this to the Leatherface, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, was a truly, 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 truly bad mistake, because this will probably make people watch the first one again and be like, wow, this first one was really good. And then you see this one and you're like, oh. Like, even the other, Texas Chainsaw Massacre sequels that they did is better than this one. At least the other ones had, like, not character development, but characters. They had a personality. They were people. This one is like, yeah, we're just gonna, it's like they could have just replaced them for cardboards. They all annoyed me. I did not care for any of them. There was no interest for any of them to survive, except Sally and the mechanic. You could have had Sally be this movie's Jamie Lee Curtis. This movie's, I don't remember what is her name in, oh my god, I forgot her name in Halloween. Whatever. Lori. You could have had this movie's Lori be Sally. But no. You just had to ruin it. Anyways, yeah, I'm gonna stop because now this is gonna be 30 minutes of me just being like, hey, this movie sucked. But it did. It sucked. So my final recommendations, my final things is don't watch this movie. Please don't. Dislike this movie. I'm kidding. Can you imagine? God, it reminded me of that shot of the bus going like, you're gonna be canceled. Again, potential. But it was the potential that they had, the tiny, tiny, tiny bit potential that they had. They put it through the garbage disposal. They burned it on fire. And then they scattered it into the ocean because it was nowhere to be seen. Truly, truly bad movie. This gave me flashbacks to Hellboy. Not the masterpiece that is Hellboy 1 and 2 by Guillermo del Toro. No, the other one. I also reviewed that one, but my computer had to be reset, so it deleted it. Maybe I should sacrifice my brain and watch it again, and then... But that one was also bad. Anyways, I'm gonna stop, because as you can tell, I really like to ramble, especially if it's about things that I like or don't like. So I'm gonna stop right here. I've got nothing to say. I'm not even gonna ask you, do you think this movie was bad? Because this movie was bad. There was no redeemable quality. Sally and the mechanic. They should have been the final girls. You should have had the mechanic all like, yeah. God, I hope there's not a sequel to this. I hope they just do and try and just do another take. Just retry it. Do a new formula, because oh my god. Anyways, bye.